I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Hey guys, welcome. Greetings to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube and Rockfin and Twitter. And welcome to Sabby's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Sabby's podcast is a part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursday for the Roundtable and Friday for the Sabby Show. You can catch me here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Greetings. What is going on? I want to shout out some people in the chat. Greetings overnight says didn't see the sun mentioned once in any of the grifter French climate reports. Affects everything. It's just common sense, not magic. Interesting. Cecilie says spill the tea. I will get into that. Greetings, Notori. Always great to see you. Hannah G says Sabby with a smiley face. Greetings. What's going on? Lawrence Johnson says doobie doo. Shout out to Eric T. Red says hi, lefty friends. Greetings, Cam says hey, everyone. CBC voter says I know what I'm going to say. Panquake. Shout out to Delthea Simmons, who's also a Sabby member, says hello, everybody. Greetings all. I'm going to try to keep this to 1 hour tonight. I actually did not sleep well last night. I had my exit interview today, and that was a doozy. But I got through it. I will be talking about Boston University. I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to everyone who's a Sabby patron. Thank you so much for your support, guys. It really does help me out a lot. If you want to help support as well, you can become a member, a Sabby, a Sabster, or the ultimate. Thank you guys so much. And you'll see their name scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Let's go ahead and get into that. Can't believe I have to talk about Andrew Cuomo again. Oh, I'm so pissed about that. All right, guys. So tonight we're talking about Eric Adams' cringe speech. What did Eric Adams say and why is it problematic? You can see the Dunkin' Donuts logo behind him. We're going to talk about Andrew Cuomo walks again. Yes, that came out this morning. You are not going to be happy about that. And we're going to talk about leaving BU. So yes, I'm going to tell you why I'm leaving Boston University and the problems that I'm noticing in the higher education system. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start with Andrew Cuomo. I just want to go ahead and get this story out of the way. I don't want to see this man's face anymore. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I have an article here from CNN of all places. Okay, so here we go. This came out this morning. I kid you not. Last night, I just told you about how he is not going to be charged with the nursing home deaths. And then this came out this morning. Albany DA declines to prosecute former Governor Andrew Cuomo on forcible touching charge. Man, this guy is such a, look at it. He's such a snake. This guy is such a snake. Here we go. A New York district attorney will not prosecute former Governor Andrew Cuomo on a misdemeanor sex crime charge of forcible touching, despite finding Cuomo's accuser cooperative and credible. Albany County District Attorney David Soares said in a statement Tuesday he was declining to prosecute a former aide's allegation that Cuomo had groped her ahead of the Democratic former governor's scheduled court appearance this month. Soares said in a statement that he could not prove the charge filed by the Albany County Sheriff in October in a courtroom to the criminal standard of proof. While many have an option regarding the allegations against the former governor, the Albany County DA's office is the only one who has a burden of proof to prove the elements of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. While we found the complainant in this case cooperative and credible, after review of all the available evidence, we have concluded that we cannot meet our burden at trial. Boy, I tell you. The decision comes after district attorneys in Westchester and Nassau counties also in the last 2 weeks declined to pursue charges against Cuomo. Those cases focused on different allegations. Soares noted that the decision to discontinue criminal prosecution is unrelated to any possible civil liability. The allegations from Brittany Commisso, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, were among the 11 detailed in New York Attorney General Letitia James' report on allegations of sexual misconduct that led to Cuomo's resignation in August. 11, you guys. Commisso, a former assistant to Cuomo, told investigators for the Attorney General's office that Cuomo had grabbed her buttocks during hugs and during an event at the executive mansion, reached under her blouse and grabbed her breast. Brian Primo, an attorney for Commisso, told CNN on Tuesday, "I can confirm only that in this case, my client had no control over the filing or prosecution of criminal charges. She had no authority or voice in those decisions. The only thing she has any power over is her resolution to continue to speak the truth and seek justice in an appropriate civil action, which she will do in due course." Now, this is something to pay close attention to, because if she wins the civil suit, isn't he still guilty? So that's just what it kills me. It kills me. Cuomo had denied the allegation. CNN has reached out to his attorney, Rita Glavin, for comment. CNN also reached out to Cuomo Representative Rich Azzopardi. The Albany Times-Union first reported the story. Soares said in November letter that filings in the misdemeanor forcible touching case against Cuomo are potentially defective and asked to delay the former governor's arraignment on a charge filed by the Albany County Sheriff. Soares noted that the filing was unilaterally and inexplicably, good Lord, can't talk tonight, filed by Albany Sheriff Craig Apple's office and failed to include a sworn statement by the victim. Separately, Cuomo's attorney, Alkin Abramitz, these names tonight, told CNN that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office closed an investigation into whether there was criminal liability from nursing home leadership or state officials for the 19 deaths in the nursing home. And I talked about the nursing home last night, so let me go ahead and pop out. So, people called it. When he was first charged, people said that he was going to walk. So I think what's important to note, even though that article said that he denied it, let's all remember when he resigned as governor, he apologized for his behavior. Does everybody remember that, or I'm the only one still around? So if he didn't do anything wrong, if he didn't do these acts that they're saying that he did, what what was he apologizing for? Why would you apologize if you didn't do it? Am I the only one that noticed that? So can't believe I had to talk about this guy twice this week. Like, this is so, this makes me so angry. I am so frustrated because this is the type of thing that I've been telling people about before. You have someone in a position in power. They have control. In these situations of sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment, And the people, their victims, have no power. And he's the governor. He was the governor, you guys. So this just goes to show you what I've said before about the criminal justice system. It benefits three people: people in power, people who are wealthy, and most of the time, people who are white. He's all three. I should have known. I should have known. And he had 11 people come forward. What do you need? 80, 100? Now they're saying, well, we can't prove it and we don't have enough evidence. He apologized for his behavior. That's not enough for you to go off of? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. What kind of power does this man still have? Because he is not in office, but he still has power. This is embarrassing. It really is. It's just giving a big F you to everyone out there that's been a victim of sexual misconduct, assault, abuse, not looking out for the victims. Not looking out for the victims. And I have an article here I want to show about how the victims feel about this, because they need to be heard.
Breaking news this the Albany County District Attorney has dropped the...
Oh, sorry. I didn't want you to hear that. That's actually in 30 seconds. Listen to this. Tough case or cowardice, drop of Cuomo case splits experts. I believe this is the right article. Oh, here it is. This is the part I wanted to read. Let me highlight this. Now, this is coming from the victims. Listen to this. When will our voices uniformly be accepted? Where do we go to have our rights vindicated? When? Now, she asked this in a statement to the Times Union of Albany, lamenting that the case highlights the reason victims are afraid to come forward, especially against people in power. Let me highlight this here. Especially against people in power. Let me come out. Now, you have people who are in this same situation, people who are other victims who are afraid to come forward. First of all, for people who are victims, you have to make the difficult decision to even come forward. That is a difficult decision to make. It's a difficult decision because a lot of times justice is not served in these cases. Perfect example. It's not served most of the time. So they have to decide whether or not they are going to come forward. Because once you do that, there's no turning back. You put your face out there, you put your name out there. And when you are going against someone who is in a position of power, can you imagine? Look how many women had to come out and speak against Bill Cosby for them to take him down. Look how many women had to come out. Oh, and he's free on a technicality. So the fact that the victims have to go through so much just to get their story heard, just for people to hear their voice, and then to have people tell them that they don't believe them. Do you know what kind of pain that can cause? This is why people don't come forward. This is why victims stay silent. The sexual assault cases that we know about, those are just the people who came forward. Most people don't. And this is the reason why. They will not be believed, especially if it's against someone who's in a powerful position. Look how quickly people came to Andrew Cuomo's defense when this first came out. Dems, liberals, we have to defend him because he's one of us. But when it happens on the Republican side, oh no, they're guilty. They're automatically guilty because they're not one of us. Back then, they were saying believe women. They were saying hashtag me too. Now it's, well, we got to look at all the evidence and we got to look at everything. And he says he didn't do it. He denies it because it's someone in their own party. Why aren't those Democrats who were so angry at Brett Kavanaugh, why aren't they just as angry at Andrew Cuomo? Somebody tell me why. Because if it's really about believing women, if it's really about me too, then you would listen to them regardless of what party they are in. This is a dangerous thing. This is very dangerous. You had people who were willing to try to cover this up. If he didn't do anything wrong, why did he resign? I don't know about you guys. If I didn't do anything wrong, I wouldn't have apologized and I wouldn't have resigned. He did so because he's guilty. Johnny Lopan said also it was never believed black women. True. Very true. Very true. Sean said because they're all Cuomo-sexuals. It's disgusting. And then you have his brother accused of sexual harassment a couple months after. Apparently, this runs in the family. Let's not forget, Andrew Cuomo blamed it on the fact that he's Italian. Remember that? But they don't have enough evidence. This is a very scary situation because the American people just saw this man who's accused by 11 different people walk. He got off on the sexual abuse charges or sexual assault, sexual misconduct charges, and he got off on the nursing home deaths. And this was the governor. I said the same thing about Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't get a chance to talk about that Ghislaine Maxwell verdict, but she was found guilty. So let's talk about that for a little second. She was found guilty. 5 out of 6 counts, I believe. But make no mistake, she is just the fall guy or the fall woman. There are other people involved that she is covering for. Why won't they release the names in that book? You think they want the American people to know all these powerful men that were also involved? Chris Hedges named names. Bill Gates was one of them that he named. Bill Gates, who's being praised every freaking TV network right now. Bill Gates says this. Bill Gates says that. I told you last night, Bill Gates is not a doctor. But yes, we should all see the names in that book. You don't get to get a pass just because you are wealthy, just because you are rich, just because of your title. But apparently that's how it goes. And the everyday person, their name would have been revealed and their mugshot would have been across every news station. But people that have money have protection. And that is something the rest of us do not have, quite frankly. Valerie said it always has to be civil cases with men in power. 100%. Delthea Simmons said Cuomo may not be governor, but he still knows where the bodies are buried. If Cuomo gets even near the jailhouse, he will sing like he's at the Met without a mic, Nobody still in power wants that. This is where we are in this country. It is embarrassing. And I just think about all the victims seeing this happen. Another one. Stacey Abrams told us that she believed Joe Biden. When Tara Reid came out and told her story, all of a sudden that hashtag Me Too was gone. All of a sudden, Believe Women was not a thing because it was someone in the Democratic Party. And then you have other women who were in the party backing the man. What kind of BS is that? And this is the problem with this two-party system, these political parties. This is the problem. Because at the end of the day, you don't end up doing what you want to for the American people. You end up doing what works for the party. The party comes first. Why do you think Bernie Sanders so quickly? We need to vote for Joe Biden. No political revolution, no movement, no more. Nope. Vote for Joe Biden. Just like that. Because that's what the Democratic Party wanted. And he's an independent. But he ran through the Democratic Party. So he's doing their bidding. This is what happens. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. And just like that, people quickly forgot that Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault. All of a sudden, don't believe the women. All of a sudden, Miss Alyssa Milano, who co-opted Me Too, by the way, she got credit for that hashtag, for that movement. It was started by a Black woman. She took it. And she got all the credit for it. But as soon as Joe Biden name pops up, all of a sudden it's, I believe Joe Biden. No more Me Too. We got to watch out for some of these celebrities. They're one of the greatest tools that the Democrats use, that Republicans use. Mainly Democrats, though, because most of them in Hollywood are Democrat. Got to watch out for some of them. So this is a problem. Whether you come out against an everyday person or you come out against someone who is a part of the Democratic Party or someone who is in a position of power, this is a problem. And all those women, Stacey Abrams, Alyssa Milano, they should all be ashamed of themselves. They weren't there. They don't know. But look how quickly they believed Joe Biden. Just like that. No questions asked. And then to come on national television and say it. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. Yipper99 said of Milano, want to take something for Black women. How about, or want to take something from Black women. How about this student debt? Oh, I hear you. I hear you on that one. I hear you. Gamer for Life said, agreed, Sabby, those ladies are sellouts. 100%. What happened to Believe Women? And then when people on the right started calling that out, people were like, oh, of course they're going to say that. They're on the right. And da-da. People on the left should have been calling it out too. Other Democrats should have called it out. Nobody sees the hypocrisy. It's ridiculous. Greg Bruce says, pretty sure Biden's accusations came out. I got called a sexist for saying Alyssa Milano was full of shit by liberals. Oh, it was in two different messages. Yeah. And that's what they'll do. And then when you do come out and you speak out against them, that is exactly what they'll do. They'll say that you're a sexist. Didn't they do the same thing when Hillary ran against Trump? If you didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, you were a sexist. They didn't want to mention to you that another woman was running. No, of course not. They didn't want you to know about Jill Stein. This is how the game works. This is how the game works. Johnny Lopan said, Sabby, what do you think of the rape denial that happens when anyone mentions Tara Reid's name? Yeah, that's what I was just saying. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If it was someone else, let's pretend not Joe Biden, someone on the right, it would have been a totally different story. But God forbid it's someone in the Democratic Party. Now all of a sudden, like I said, no more believe women, no more Me Too. And this is why we can't even have a women's movement in this country. We can't even come together as women because it's like, yeah, we need to talk about these issues that affect women. We need to come together as women and fight for equal pay. But we can't do it because people are divided in the two-party system. That's why we can't come together. Huh. Isn't that crazy? We're divided with that. This is why I'm doing a women's summit in February. I have a lot of people coming on and to talk about these issues that affect women. Because regardless of if you're on the left or if you're on the right or in the middle, at the end of the day, we're all women. We have to deal with some of the same issues. We can at least be able to come together on that. And solutions, how to fix some of these things. But no, we have to be separated by the two-party system. And people wonder why. People wonder why I keep telling you, you've got to leave this abusive relationship with the Democratic Party. If you're a conservative watching, you need to leave them too. There are two sides of the same coin. Neither one of them really serve people. They serve corporations. They serve Wall Street. They're not thinking about us. They can't even give us free tests. I had to go to Walgreens and buy the test. I can't even say the word on here. You guys know what I'm talking about, but $9.99 for one. Now imagine if you need more than one. Imagine if you're a family of 5, a family of 6. Family of 5, that's $50. Imagine if you have to get it more than once throughout the month. Now imagine that you're poor. They're not thinking about us. I talked to my friend in the UK. Their tests are free. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. This is what we have to deal with. I sat there earlier today and I listened to Al Sharpton tell people how if Joe Biden doesn't do something about voting rights, Black people are not going to come out and vote for Joe Biden. But I pose this question. Why should you come out and vote for him any damn way and not ask for something in return? We do this every election cycle. We get nothing. Nothing but symbolism. Juneteenth. They don't fix anything. They don't try to improve Black communities, Black schools, nothing. You don't owe him your vote. You don't owe Democrats your vote. Screw these people. Joe Biden is sitting and riding high. Yeah, he likes to say he grew up working class. He has not been working class in decades. Let's be real. He's rich. So why go out and vote for him anyway? Even if he does fix voting rights. That's not a win for us. That's a win for them. Ask them for things. Ask them for reparations. Ask them to fix these schools. Ask them to fix your communities. Ask them to do that. I went on a tangent there, but I'm going to go ahead into my second story. Sorry, it gets me fired up. It gets me fired up. But I'm so angry about Andrew Cuomo. It is disgusting. It pisses me off. And I just feel like, once again, another one gets away. Second story is Eric Adams. So he's been a piece of work. Eric Adams hasn't even been mayor for like a month yet. And he is already acting a fool. Let me share my screen. He said something recently. It's really cringe. I hope no one working at Dunkin' Donuts gets offended. But if you do, I understand. I can't with him. I can't with him right now. I want you to pay close attention to what he says. And this goes back to what I was telling you again about the class issue and how they really see us. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit larger. I don't know why I'm singing in the microphone, and mute my mic.
I need him to go down to Dunkin' Donuts. I need him to go to the restaurant. Have to come in. I'm still getting my salary. Then you are not helping those New Yorkers that need us to come in. So I want my businesses in this city to come up with a closer deadline and say we're going to start placing our toe back in the water, come in for 2 days for 3 days, and then let's get the city back up and operating.
But to say we're just going to revisit this in April, that's too long for you.
It's January, February, March, April, 4 months of not having this business patronized, not having a restaurant patronized, not having business travelers come here to the city to go to our hotels. That is going to be devastating for our economy. And I don't know if my businesses are sharing with their employees. You are part of the ecosystem of this city. My low-skilled workers, my cooks, my dishwashers, my messengers, my shoe shine people, those who work in Dunkin' Donuts, they don't have the academic skills to sit in a corner office.
I'm sorry, what was that? They don't have the what? Low skill who? Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again.
The academic skills to sit with their employees. You are part of the ecosystem of this city. My low-skilled workers, my cooks, my dishwashers, my messengers, my shoe shine people, those who work in Dunkin' Donuts, they don't have the academic skills to sit in a corner office. They need this. We are in this together. And we should be saying to ourselves, if I remotely do my job, then that stock clerk is not going to be able to have the business he deserves. That's what I need us to understand. This is not a separate thing. To get through this, we have to get through this together. I need them to shorten the span.
No, he didn't. Did you hear what he just called them? My low skill workers, the shoe shine man, the people that work at Dunkin' Donuts, low skill. They don't have the academic capability. What the hell? Classes much? Elite much? How do you know they don't have the academic capability? Really? Newsflash. Not everyone that works at Dunkin' Donuts or is shining shoes is dumb. Wake up. Are you kidding me? Do you know just because someone is working fast food, just because someone has a working class job, that doesn't mean that they don't have academic capability. You classist fuck. Are you kidding me? This is the country we live in. This is the country that we live in. See, he is making the mistake of thinking that someone's job determines their intelligence. That is not true. I waited tables when I was in college. Did my customers that came in knew that I was in college? No. Someone wrote something on a receipt one time that they didn't want to leave a tip because we should have went to college. I was in college. Isn't that funny? These are the assumptions that people make about people's jobs, about their role. Sometimes I think that we spend too much time focusing on our title, our job title. Something I've noticed, I did a lot of networking events. This was like pre-pandemic. Did a lot of social events. Meetup.com. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's really popular here in Boston. And so we do a lot of events and gatherings, get to meet people. One of the things I noticed is when you meet someone, the first question they were asking is, what do you do? Not, how are you? How are you doing? How do you like it here in Boston? What do you do? We lead with that a lot, as if our job determines who we are as a person. Why do we do that? It's a habit. We do it. Just something that I noticed. It was all about what you did for work. Pay attention to that next time you're at a social event and you're meeting new people. Pay close attention to that. But back to this Dunkin' Donuts thing. Let me tell you something. Those jobs are not easy to do. Anyone who is watching this that has worked at a restaurant, worked fast food, especially shining shoes. I don't know how to shine a shoe, can't shine my own shoe. Those jobs are labor intensive jobs. Those jobs can be difficult. Those jobs can be stressful, especially during busy rush hour times like lunch and breakfast and all of that. And on top of all that, on top of those jobs being labor intensive, you got to deal with customers, and customers can be a bitch. I told you guys I'm trying to watch my language, but I already slipped up twice. I'm sorry. Customers are a pain. They can be a pain, and you can get some really rude, nasty customers who will treat you like absolute garbage, who think they're better than you because they're not waiting tables, because they're not operating a cash register. Yes, you will get people like that. And so, do not have the academic capability. How dare you? What defines the academic capability? There are different types of intelligence. Did you guys know that? There's musical intelligence. There's emotional intelligence. You can look this up. I think there's seven or nine of them. But the fact that he just acts like the people sitting behind him didn't see a problem with what he said. So if I was a reporter in that audience, I would have been like, what do you mean low skill? What do you mean academic capability? This is how they see us. This is how people like Eric Adams, what he just said to you, well, to the audience, not to you guys, what he just said in that video clip, that is exactly how he looks at those people. He sees them as low skill and not intelligent just because of their job. And I want to make something else very clear too. This statement that he said about sitting at a desk job. You don't have to have a lot of academic intelligence to have a desk job. What the hell? You have to remember that he was a cop. He's a former cop. Is that how he looked at those people when he was a police officer? Thinking that they don't have academic capability because they work at Dunkin' Donuts? And how dare you bring up Dunkin' Donuts? Don't shame on the dunk like that. What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff? Who does this? Thanks so much, Delthea Simmons, for the super chat. Anyone who thought Adams was going to be anything but cringe simply has not been paying attention. He's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer. Thank you so much for the super chat, Delthea. Let's all remember, he wanted to continue stop and frisk. This is who they voted for. This dude, out of all the people that were running in that mayor race, this is who they voted for. He's still thinking like a cop. Still thinking like one. Low skill workers. Listen, You work in some of these restaurants, these fast food places, like I said about the labor intensive, it is very labor intensive. You go to the back of some of those restaurants in the kitchen and lift one of those ice buckets. They're incredibly heavy. I know, I used to have to do it. Ask the people who are cooks at some of these restaurants. Do you know that's one of the most difficult jobs to do? You don't have to just cook. You have to time it right, and it has to be done quickly. When I waited tables at Outback Steakhouse, we knew 12-minute ticket time. They had to get those items cooked in 12 minutes and on that plate, quick like that, while also handling multiple tickets, coming down in the window, pinning those tickets up, starting one thing, starting another ticket at the same time, tossing it up on the plate, 12 minutes. I don't think that's low skill. It just seems like to me he hasn't had this kind of job. Let's challenge Eric Adams to do that. Go to Dunkin' Donuts and do one of these jobs. Go back there and cook in the kitchen and see what it's like and see if it's low skill. The nerve. The nerve. Johnny Lopon said low skill workers coming from a cop. Those guys can't even shoot targets with accuracy, and we trust them to de-escalate conflicts. What a joke. Good point, Johnny. Good point. Delthea Simmons said, how many orders can Adams remember during a lunch rush? Delthea knows. And any of you that have worked in the restaurant industry, you've probably seen this too, how fast those tickets can come through. And you just have to, you got to go. You have to cook everything, multiple things at the same time, not burn anything. Work in a steakhouse, work in Outback. Those steaks have got to be cooked the way that the customers want it. They are not happy if you give them a steak that is overcooked or undercooked. I can tell you that from experience. Pat Brannigan said waitressing is difficult. You have to take care of multiple people talking at the same time, get the orders right, get the orders to the people, and then get them all the other stuff they ask for. Yes, it is tough. Waiting tables is tough. Not easy. So just remember that the next time that you go into a restaurant, please tip your servers, because I don't know how much they make here, but when I was in South Carolina, we only made $2.13 an hour. So you heavily rely on the tips. This is the world we live in. Hash Rebel says, I like Duncan. I like Duncan too. How dare he abuse their name? So Compton J had something to say about Eric Thomas, or excuse me, not Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas is my producer. Eric Adams. And let me go ahead and share my screen. This is funny. This was on Twitter. Calling him out like he sees it. Compton J said, Eric Adams is one of many coons doing the work of the white oppressive imperialist class. He goes on to name more. Lloyd Austin, Barack Obama, Don Lemon, Dr. Jason Johnson, the Congressional Black Caucus, Stacey Abrams, Joy Ann Reid, Jim Clyburn, and Colin Powell. I don't think I could have said it better myself. He got them all right there. Got them all right there. Eric Adams. I think he had another one that I retweeted also about Eric Adams. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. How is Eric Adams already this awful, and he's only been in office for 4 days? My question exactly. Like, this man is ridiculous. Oh my God. I can't. I won't. I don't, you guys. This is it just the buffoonery of it all. Oh my God. Oh yes, Jesus. Oprah. That's another one. That's another one. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. I'm telling you, I'm starting to lose my R's. I've been living here for over 10 years and they're just starting to fall off my words. I'm not kidding. Phenomenal Mysticism says, I hate the idea of tips. Tips shouldn't exist and should be included in the wage. every time I have to tip, I do tip higher than average. That is awesome, phenomenal mysticism. Thank you so much. I try to do 20%. But yeah, it's, oh man. I'm going to go into my final story, you guys, and I think that's the one a lot of you have been waiting for. Pull up a picture here. So I told you guys the other day that I did give my notice at work. And I'm just going to share my screen. So yes, this Friday is my last day at Boston University. I've been there for a little over 5 years now. I've worked at other schools before I worked at BU. I told you guys that one day I was going to tell you this story about why, and I'm going to do that tonight. There's some things you have to understand. The issues that I'm about to bring up they're not just issues at Boston University. It's a problem across the board with higher ed that I've noticed. But I did find these issues to be particularly worse at Boston University. Now, this is not to be some kind of smear job here, but I do feel like these issues need to be voiced. People need to know about it, and they need to make some kind of changes. Why did I decide to leave? I'm going to break this up into categories. First category, the organizational structure. What you have to understand is that higher education is modeled after the United States government. At university, you have a president. You have a board of trustees. You have donors, just like you do in politics. If you can believe that, who donate a lot of money to these schools, especially these elite schools like Boston University. I'm just going to be real with you. You have people at the top and you have people at the bottom. There really isn't much of a middle here. As an administrator, you would think that we actually have some type of power. We don't. We are at the bottom. The president of the university and the provost and the donors and the board of trustees are the ones at the top. For those of us at the bottom, what I have learned and noticed is that a lot of times we cannot implement any type of decision without getting approval from the top. And this is why a lot of times in higher ed, it takes so long to get something done. Could be a year, could be 2 years, could never happen. Since we are at the bottom as administrators, and that includes, by the way, directors, assistant deans, they still at the bottom. Their title may make you think differently, but they a lot of times don't get to make any type of decisions either. For those of us at the bottom, we are treated in such a way that would honestly disgust you. It's a problem across the board at BU. I've seen it at other schools too, but it's particularly worse at Boston University. We are not valued. We are not appreciated. We are ridiculed. We are belittled. I've seen emotional, verbal altercations. I've seen physical altercations, some of which I can't talk about on here. That's how bad it goes. And when we complain, when we voice concern, we then become a target. As you guys know, I'm pretty vocal. When I saw things being done or people being treated in such a way, I was vocal about it. That made me a target, me and other people as well. What I have learned is that HR is a joke. They are not there to help you. Their job is to protect the university at all costs. And you have to understand that, because the first thing someone will tell you to do is to go talk to HR. Do not do that. They will protect the school and they will push you out, or they will target you. Because ideally, a lot of times at these elite institutions, they complain a lot about not having diversity. I'm going to get into that too. But if you complain about it to people that are supposed to help, the response to you is going to be harsh. You have to understand that. They protect the school at all costs. Now, I told you that AOC and Ayanna Pressley both went to Boston University. I also told you that Ayanna Pressley did not graduate from Boston University, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to say this on here because she's talked about this herself. If she didn't, I wouldn't bring it up. But Ayanna Pressley was assaulted when she was a student at BU. And the university did nothing about it. Not surprised. This is not something that is new. It happens on college campuses. Like I said, they will protect the university first. They will not protect you. You have to understand that. Even if you have every credible claim, they are looking out for the institution. Let's talk about the difference between a school and a business. There isn't. When I got into higher ed, I wanted to work with students, academic advising. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about working with famous faculty. And some people here do. We have a lot of famous faculty here because they're at MIT and Harvard and all of that. So some people really do want to work with those people. Noam Chomsky worked at MIT. I didn't. I just wanted to work with the kids, the students. That's it. What you have to understand is that even if your role doesn't really involve you taking orders from faculty, at the end of the day, as an administrator, you are at the bottom. They are above you. The deans are above them. And the provost, the president, the board of trustees, and the donors are at the very top. But faculty are above you, especially those that are tenure faculty. Some of them can be very demanding. Now, not all of them are that way. Some of them can be very demanding. Some of them will belittle you. I've seen people belittled, shamed. I've heard racial comments that should have not been made. I complained about one of those. I complained about it to HR. You know what HR did? Nothing. And these are the same people who complain about not having enough diversity. You will be treated in a way that will make you feel like you are the scum of the earth. That is how they were treating us. That is why the turnover is so bad. And this started years before COVID, mind you. And nothing is done. You think that when you go into higher ed, you're going to work less hours? No, 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 no. There were times I was answering emails at 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night. My hours were 8 to 4. They can be very demanding. So I was overworked. I was underpaid. Don't make much. Go ahead and let that secret out. Unless you're a dean or you're the president of the university, I'm going to show you what they make in just a second. No, no, no. We don't make much. But I was still working long hours just like I did when I had a corporate job. And underpaid. And then on top of that, you have to go into a work environment that is toxic, that is hostile, where people are treating you like absolute trash, to be honest with you. All because you are staff. You're not faculty. Nobody really wants to hear what you have to say. Let's go into the diversity issue, because this is a hot one for me. A lot of times I'd go to these meetings, I'd be the only black person in the room, sometimes the only woman. There aren't many of us there. Every time I'm surrounded by people, mainly men, but the women did it too, who would just constantly overtalk me. Anytime I tried to speak, they would jump in, they'd interrupt, they'd talk over me. Sometimes they would ignore me, not acknowledge me. And it wasn't just me. Because once I started talking to other black people there, they had the same experiences. Now, I had a seat at the table, but they didn't want me to talk at that table. They wanted diversity on the surface. They wanted diversity so they could say they had the numbers for diversity, for quota purposes. But once they got those diverse populations, they didn't really want us to really do anything. They didn't want us to have a voice. I don't care what your title was. They don't want you to have a voice. They don't want you to be heard. They don't want you to be seen. Sometimes they wouldn't even remember me. They used to mix my name up with another black woman. We don't even look alike. Things like that. When we talk about diversity, we need to talk about who's in these leadership positions. Because most of the time, you don't see black people. I'm sitting up here and I'm looking around. Why are all the directors white? Why are all the deans white? Why aren't there any black people in any of these leadership positions? And it wasn't that black people weren't interviewing for those roles. They would. They wouldn't hire them. You know why? Give you a little secret. Studies show that people often hire people that look like them. So if the people on the hiring committee are all white, who do you think they're going to hire for those leadership positions? They want to hire people that went to the same schools they went to. You want to dismiss someone because they went to a state school and hire the person that went to Yale. So most of the time, black people that come in are not coming from those elite schools. They're coming from state schools. That's not good enough. It's not just with the staff, it's also with faculty. This is why when Harvard denied tenure for Cornell West, I was not surprised. They have a problem with diversity amongst the faculty as well. They think that because they hire one black faculty member in a department, that they have diversity. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. That is not diversity, that is tokenism. That one black person that you can point to and say we're diverse. Oh, I'm letting it all out. And they will stop right there. Once they get that one in the department, same thing for some of these academic offices. Once they get that one black person, they stop. They think that's enough. Then they wonder why the black people keep leaving. Nobody wants to be a token. It does not feel good. And we can smell that shit. We know what you're doing. It's obvious. Now, what I'm telling to you are things that I have complained about for years to people who could actually implement change and make changes. They didn't want to do it. You talk about hiring black faculty. We had a whole diversity team that was trying to implement procedures that would get more black people hired as faculty. Do you know some of these fools actually said they didn't want to do it? You see why I'm leaving? Imagine dealing with that for 5 years. No one wants to be a token. Now, they need to understand that in order to increase diversity, you need to make sure that the diverse populations that you have already present are happy, and they're not. You need to make sure that you give them the same respect that you give the white employees, and they don't. I've seen Black employees punished more harshly than white employees for the same incidents. Now, that's not new, especially not to the workplace. That goes all the way back to the school system. And you voice your opinions and you tell people that these are issues that need to be fixed, it goes right over their heads. They don't care. They don't want diversity. They don't want diversity, inclusion, and equity. They want diversity on the surface so they can check it off as a number. When they get those diverse populations, those people are not included. There is no equity. If there's equity, make sure you offer the Black woman the same salary that you offered the white man for the same job. This is why a lot of times employers don't want you to talk to your coworker about what you make. This is why. They don't want you to know that somebody else in your office that has the same experience as you is being paid more than you. They don't want you to know that. They decided to do this race summit. This was right after George Floyd. It was an all-day event. I attended it. It was virtual. Having discussions about race. I thought that was a good idea. And you know what I found? Every session that I went into, whether it was students, whether it was faculty, whether it was staff, the Black people at BU were not having a good time. And neither were the students. It was very obvious. Someone posed the question to the president of the university, are there any steps to be taken to increase, diverse hires with faculty and with staff? Do you know what this fool said? That's up to the departments. They're the ones that hire people. Are you kidding me? You said this at the race summit in front of all these Black people? You just push the blame off on someone else? You're the president. Do something about it. When I go back and tell you that there's the people at the bottom, the administrators, we were at the bottom. And we don't really make as much unless you're like a dean. You want to know how much the presidents are making at these schools? Let me share my screen. Hold on to your seats for this one. I don't care. I don't care if they see this video. I don't care if they get mad. They have put this on themselves. And this should have been called out a long time ago. Now, there is a report that comes out every year, at least it does for Massachusetts. I don't know about other states, and it tells you exactly what the university presidents are making. Check this out. Here we go. Let's go down. Here's Boston University. You want to know how much the president makes? The university president? Check this out. Over $2 million. Over $2 million. And you have people working there making $35,000 a year in Boston. People can't live off of that here. Over $2 million. Let me remind you that the president of the university doesn't even pay for his house. The university pays for it. So what the hell do you need $2 million for? You're not even paying a mortgage. Get out of here. And they want to pay the academic advisors and the program coordinators. They want to pay them $35,000 a year. Hell, even $45,000 a year is too low for Boston. Get out of here. I'll scroll down. I'll show you another one. This is Harvard. He's making over $1 million. Drew Gilpin Faust, over $1 million. Scroll down, Northeastern. That's why I went to grad school. He's also making over $1 million. You guys see this? Now do you see why I'm so angry? This is capitalism. This is capitalism 360. They're paid millions of dollars. We're paid just enough to get by. This is what I told you. They never give you enough so that you can get ahead. They give you just enough to get by. And a 2% flat raise. $2 million. We have to pay rent. We have to pay mortgage. His house is free. So the problem that I've had with higher education is that it's not really a school. It doesn't really operate like a school. It's a business. It is all about money. And it is very sad that it has become more like a corporation than a school. I see so much money come in and it is thrown in directions where it should not be thrown. They say they don't have enough money to give more financial aid to students, but they have money to put gold on elevator doors. Do you need a gold door? No. They have money for that. They have money to pay the president over $2 million. Get out of here. And you have staff members. We're eating our lunch at our desk. We don't take a real lunch break. I can't remember the last time I actually left and did an actual lunch break. We eat at our desk. Their job is to please the board of trustees, is to please the donors. They got to make them happy. Same thing with politicians. You guys see the similarities? It's all about the donors. You need to know who these people are. You need to know that Michael Bloomberg donates to Harvard. That's why they have a program named after him. These the people they trying to please. Now do you see why they didn't want to give Cornel West tenure? And that is a problem too. That's another thing. They don't want to give these Black faculty members tenure. You want them to do the work and the research, but you want the white faculty members at the top. And everybody sees it. And these are things that I have complained about for years. They don't want to change. They still want the people at the top, the donors, they want to please them. It is all about the money. Some of these things they spend money on, we don't even need. Take the gold off the damn elevator door. Increase the financial aid package. Do you know how much it costs to go to Boston University? Do you really want to see? It's not even an Ivy League school. It tries to be, but it is not. I'm going to show you. Stay in your seat. Don't fall out. I told you guys I was bringing it tonight. Told you I was bringing it. When you see this, no way in hell. Even if I had the money, no way in hell I would pay for my kid tuition. For tuition this high. Look at this. Now, this is the current year. Tuition. Let me make this a little bit bigger because I think the numbers are small. No, you cannot help me. Go away. We tried that. All right, look at this. Tuition is $58,000. Room, a little over $10,000. Actually, almost $11,000. Board, $5,000. Fees, $1,000. If you are a freshman coming to this school, you're looking at paying $76,000 for your first year. Now, some of those kids that graduate, they don't even get that salary. How are they going to pay all that money back? And you don't want to increase the financial aid, but you want to give the president over $2 million. Get the fuck out of here. This is what makes me so sick because I see how the money is misused. It is disgusting. No one should have to pay that much for tuition. You're not even a top 10 school. You are not even Ivy League. How the hell is it more expensive to go to BU than to go to Harvard? Somebody make that make sense to me. Let me come out. So the issues that I have brought up to you again, I have voiced those concerns time and time again. But what happens when you complain, they see you as the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know, if you end up in this situation, don't go to HR. Hell, don't even go to your boss, because sometimes you never even know with them. But with my situation, what I noticed is, again, all the power was concentrated at the top. And even people in leadership positions weren't even allowed to lead. They couldn't even make any decisions. The people above them were telling them what to do and what to say and how to do it. And then they end up being just the messenger. And then the staff gets mad at the supervisors because they're the ones repeating the message without realizing it's not even coming from them half the time. It's coming from the people above them. It's a toxic place to work at. I've been trying to leave there for years. Every time I interviewed somewhere, I lost final round interviews to people who were already internal at those schools. It has put a very bad taste in my mouth about higher ed. I never thought that I would say that. I went to grad school for higher education. This is what I wanted to do, to work with students. And I went to undergrad for broadcast journalism. But I am absolutely disgusted from my experience. MIT wasn't as bad. Like, they still had some of those same issues. But at BU, it was on a whole other level. Just letting you know. So they have this policy there that if you're an employee there, then you can do school, take classes for free. They're only the undergrad classes. The graduate classes you still have to pay the taxes on, which again, I think is BS. They have plenty of money. But what some people will do is they'll stick it out because they have kids that are teenagers. And if their kids get into BU, their tuition will be free. To that, I say, tell your kid, go somewhere else. It is not worth dealing with that type of stress, dealing with the emotional violence. If you're coming to work every day and you feel like it's a chore, like, it was depressing to come to that place. You guys have no idea. No idea. It's all about the donors. It's all about the people who donate the big bucks to the university. Those are the people that they have to make happy. And a lot of people make these statements saying that a lot of the colleges are liberal. And when you are a staff member, you get to see just how conservative they really are. And it's a shame and it's unfortunate. I don't know where I will end up, but I do know that there are some things that significantly need to change in higher education, especially at these elite institutions. The diversity is a big part of it, but they still haven't really they still don't really understand the inclusion and the equity piece. That piece is missing. They have to remove tokenism and bring in real diversity, inclusion, and equity. They don't have it. I just told you, most of the people in those leadership positions are white. Most of the time, they do not hire Black people for those positions, even when it comes to the faculty. But I tell you, some of them didn't want to do it. How the hell do you just say, no, I don't want them here? People tend to hire people that look like them. And then they want to complain and say, we need to bring in more underrepresented minority students. Most Black kids don't want to go to this school. Wake up. Are you kidding me? You can just walk across the campus and you can feel it. The covert racism, the overt racism. It bleeds racism. Now, they created this center called the Center for Anti-Racist Research. Dr. God, I can't pronounce his name and I'm not going to try to, but he's been on Colbert. He's been on a lot of TV shows about this book, the anti-racist book, and the center that he created at BU. And that's nice. That's cute. But you need to fix the racial issues amongst the staff and the faculty. You need to fix those racial issues. You don't have to build a center to figure that shit out. I could have told you that. Not a welcoming place. Not a welcoming place. Imagine going into work and you see like your coworkers, they're all going out for lunch and stuff, like, or they're going out after work to like hang out, get drinks and stuff like that. Some people go to lunch together. Now imagine being the only black person in the office and you get skipped over. That shit happens there. You are often forgotten about, you are left out, you are treated poorly, you are overtalked, you are overworked, and at the end of the day, when you leave, half of them won't even remember your name. I'm gonna go to some of these comments. Oh, shout out to Noli D, who just became a Sabby member. Whoop, whoop. All right, Noli. Whoop, whoop. Pat said Sabby part of the Great Resignation. I'm sure there'll be more to come too. Some of you watching this tonight might be like, you know what? I'm about to leave my damn job. Gamer for Life says it's why I prefer community colleges instead of universities. 100%. People like try to shame community colleges. Nothing wrong with community college. Valerie said, oh, sister, I so understand. And my department can't even be full time. We're capped at 19 hours a week, despite being beyond seriously short staffed. Girl, there's only one advisor left in my office now. One. Elizabeth, thanks so much for the super chat. This is just wrong. I worked my way through UMass Boston with a couple of jobs, paid for an apartment, graduated with zero debt in 1983. Should still be the same opportunity now. Appreciate you, Sabrina. Thank you so much. And thanks for the super chat. Yeah, it should be. It should. It's insane what it costs to go to school these days. It's insane. You don't know how many times I just want to look at my students and say, look, here's the real. Skip all this shit. Go to community college for 2 years. Do something after that. Learn a trade. Skip all this. Because if you're paying $70-something thousand a year, by the time you graduate, you're not going to have a salary that is even going to match it. And you will be in debt. And at the end of the day, it's not worth it just so you can say that you went to BU. That's what I really want to tell them. But I can't. That's what I wanted to tell them. All right, Eric, you can show Roger's comments. I can only imagine what Roger has to say. Eric said you can have a house for that much money. It's insane. I don't think people realize just how much these schools cost. Come on, it wasn't that price when our parents were in school. Roger, thanks so much for the tip on Rockfin. Hi, Sab just came on, was underground NYC subway, came on when you were exiting authoritarian Adams. Today was the start of 2022 legislative session, and Governor Hochul, state of the state, in her address, she said she'd like to work with Adams and not repeat relationship that Cuomo and Blasio had. She wants those downstate votes. Public Banking Coalition I'm a part of, that's trying to get her to pass the New York Public Banking Act. Allowing municipalities to charter their own public bank. NYC Council is overly progressive and for it. They can override Adams' veto. If we pushed Adams to push her to pass the NYPD Act, that would give us in Long Island suburbs outside of NYC opportunity to start our own as well. Screw them, Sab. You don't need them. Let's teach them a lesson. Start telling high schoolers to boycott them and study abroad for free while getting paid to do so. Let's get those Home Depot blue collar apprenticeship schools going. A plumber, home improvement, electrician, mechanic, carpenter always have work. Your experience sounds like what I hear Blacks went through with Movement for a People's Party, especially reparations. Thanks so much for that, Roger. In reference to the high schoolers, yes. Guys, don't take on this debt, man. Don't take it on. I'm telling you, I still have student loans. Don't take it on. If you can go to school abroad for free, do so. If not, try community college first. At least get the 2 years of the community college. Learn a trade. Yes, you do need electricians. We do need carpenters. We do need, like, those people will always be needed. probably as long as like my lifetime. You do need them. But you know, I understand some people do want the university experience. If you want the university experience, I advise that you go to a state school that is cheaper. You don't have to go to these fancy elite schools. Like, yes, can it help you get jobs at like these, you know, the big four like consulting companies like B&G and McKinsey and stuff like that? Yeah, probably can. But even at those schools, you still have to have the networking. That's the thing they don't tell you. A lot of times, those kids that get those jobs, they network, they go on those social trips abroad, which are expensive, by the way, that the university puts on $2,000, $3,000 for a week trip. They spend a lot of money in that. Same thing at Harvard Business School. They do that too. That's how they form those connections, not just having the name of the university on their resume. And that's important for people to know. But there is nothing wrong with going to a state school. I went to state school for undergrad and I went to private university for grad school. CBC voter said Rome, president of Boston College. Robin said Sabby standing tall. Thanks so much, Robin. Robin also said the textbook and fees are major scams. Yeah, they are. They are. I'm not even tell you what I spent on books when I was an undergrad. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, these schools or corporations, they operate like a business. It's all about the money. It is not so much about the education. And that is unfortunate that these schools have gone this way. Maybe one day things will change, but I had enough. I had enough. So, all right, guys, I went over my time. I told you I was going to only be an hour. I'm so sorry. I get really riled up when we talk about education because there's just things that really need to be fixed. And I feel like nobody's trying to fix it. They just don't care. They just want the money. That's it. They just want the money. And that's depressing. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. All right, guys. Friday, Caleb Maupin will be back. He's going to talk about his book, BreadTube. We're going to get all into that. So don't miss that show. I'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Tomorrow, I'll be on Revolutionary Blackout Roundtable. So join us for that. Those are always fun. So you know how we do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.